Welcome to the Style and Vibes podcast with me, Michaela. I'll be giving you the inside scoop on music, fashion, culture, and more from Caribbean celebrities and tastemakers across the globe, pushing our culture with authenticity and, of course, style and vibes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Style and Vibes podcast. Today we are joined by the Bahamianista herself, Crista. How are you, my dear?
I'm doing well for the most part. How are you, Michaela?
You surviving COVID?
Yes, trying my best. Trying my best, yes.
Oh, we're gonna talk about how you're surviving in a minute, but please give the people them an intro to you and your platform and what you do. I could talk on and on, but I would want to let you talk.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Crista, aka Bahamianista. Bahamian born, but I'm based in South Florida, and I'm a carnival blogger, travel, style, lifestyle. I do some fitness on the side as well. But I'm pretty much a Caribbean content creative. I love creating. I love doing video, blog posts, social media. It just fills me really. And on the other hand, professionally, I'm an occupational therapist. So yeah, and my blog's name is www.bahamianista.com.
Yes, and she's being very modest about the fitness part, because if you've taken any of her challenges, they are not easy.
I try, because people are like, oh, well, can you show me what to do, or can you modify this? And I'm like, oh, you need modifications, because you always look at
like, I'm way past that,
right? And they're doing like push-ups and they're like, oh, flying, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know, but I try to modify them, especially from a health professional aspect, because I know everybody don't approach things at the same level, so you have to meet people where they're at.
So how long have you been blogging and being a content creator in this space?
I launched my blog August 2012. And I wasn't the most consistent blogger. I was still trying to feel things out, what I wanted to talk about, this, that, and the third. But I think I celebrated 8 years this past August.
Congrats.
Thank you.
That's amazing. A lot of people fall off after like 6 months to a year. So 8 is amazing.
I wanted to fall off at some point. I'm glad I stuck with it.
I'm glad you did too. You honestly, I think you and I can't remember her name. As far as when it comes to carnival blogging, I think you are like my top go-to in terms of references. You, Ting's Nice, who she actually is a part of this series as well. And her name is different from her handle.
Global Carnival.
Global Carnival.
Yeah.
Yes. That's my crew. Like outside of, I feel like there are platforms like, Trinidad Carnival Diary or, different set websites. But as far as giving like a personalized spin on various carnivals, that is very different than just showing beautiful pictures. You're very detailed in terms of your experiences, and you have been doing this for a while, not a very, very long time, but a good enough, consistent time frame to be called an influencer. And like our good friend, Caribbean people, when they say good friend, say I'm a friend. Mr. White Chocolate. So I think everyone has kind of heard, the debacle that is his commentary around influencer. And I think the time period in terms of what you shared that you started means that you've been around a while. So in terms of having longevity in the business of influencers, tell me about how you've grown in the space.
Well, in terms of longevity and stuff like that, like I initially started just kind of feeling it out. I've always wanted to write, so blogging was just like the best thing for me. But then I realized I love doing other stuff like vlogging and like social media, dressing up, taking photos, you know, all these different things. And I didn't really realize that what I was doing was actually a thing. Like I was just going to carnivals and I was just being intentional about documenting my experience. So in terms of longevity, it just started to grow, and more people started to, you know, actually read the reviews and follow me on social media and ask me questions and stuff like that. It was literally just me telling my story, basically, of my carnival experiences, why I love carnival, this, that, and the third. And then it just blossomed into what it is now. I know with the whole thing with white chocolate and stuff like that, I guess I'll let you get into that, but it does, I feel like longevity does speak to a lot of, I guess, being a Caribbean or carnival influencer, especially going to different places, learning the cultures, speaking to the people, actually immersing yourself into it versus, I guess, trying to profit off of something that you do well, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's kind of where my angle is. Like I'm really out here. I really enjoy learning about other people's cultures. Like I really, really do. So, and I just hope I'm able to convey that to other people via blog or vlog, whatever it is.
So how much time did you put in before you started working with brands and or bands and tourist board or what have you?
I think, honestly, I think it was maybe a few years actually until people started to like actually reach out and contact me and stuff like that. Like I personally, when I did collaborations with brands, like they were usually free. Like it would just be like product exchange or, hey, do you want to do this? I remember my first collaboration was with a pop-up shop. And I was just so enamored by what they were doing. Like they had everything at this pop-up shop before Miami Carnival. And I was like, hey, do you guys want to do a giveaway? Because I think it would be really nice, you know, for both of our platforms. So people can see what you're doing, people can see what I'm doing, and, you know, just kind of create, you know, a little bit of buzz around the event and stuff like that. So it was literally, I want to say 2-3 years of just me going to Carnival, paying for it, you know, and documenting until like, I feel like my first big break, I guess, quote unquote, came from a band in St. Lucia, and they wanted to like literally ask me to come over, document the experience, and this, that, and the third.
So in terms of how you have been approached by brands and your level of involvement, how do you think that that space has grown, I would say, over the last 2 to 3 years for you and for carnival influencers as a whole pre-COVID?
Like over the past few years, like I feel like when I first started out, I feel like there wasn't, I mean, there were carnival influencers, but I don't feel like they were in terms of navigating the space the way we are now. Like in terms of like talking to brands, collaborating with them, different carnival brands, FET promoters, you know, doing sponsored posts, doing campaigns with tourism boards, this, that, and the third. I feel like it's come a long ways. And I feel like for instance, I'll use Antigua Carnival as an example. So that was probably my first like carnival campaign trip, where like the tourism board and different brands came together, and they brought like influencers over just to kind of highlight Antigua Carnival as a whole. And you only see those type of things more or less in, you know, like I'm going to give examples like Revolve has like this little cruise thing that they do for their influencers just to like showcase, you know, summer wear, beach wear, this, that, and the third. And you have like all these little influencer trips. And
what is Revolve?
So Revolve is a clothing brand. So I don't want to go off on a tangent because they were kind of involved in, you know, like brands that, you know, people were trying to get them to diversify the people that they were using in terms of like Black models, Black women, diversity in terms of size. So they actually do an annual trip or they did an annual trip pre-COVID where they would, you know, have their favorite influencers or the girls that work with them go on these like fabulous trips, take photos, this, that, and the third, fully sponsored and whatnot. And, you know, you didn't really see that kind of marketing approach, especially in the Caribbean. And I feel like in the past 2 years or so, Caribbean brands, stakeholders have gotten hip to the fact that influencer marketing does work, especially if you have people that are already invested in like the culture and are telling authentic stories, have audiences that actually listen to their recommendations and this, that, and the third. So I feel like it's come a long way from when I first started to where I am now. And like, I have people asking me to come to this carnival or this carnival and, you know, just kind of blog or vlog the experience and, you know, so it's definitely grown. Do I feel like we still have a little ways to go? Yes. And not just in the realm of carnival, just in terms of being a Caribbean spokesperson or Caribbean influencer. I feel like brands are now starting to get hip to that, you know, this type of marketing does work, especially now in this COVID era. And when everything's moving online, you know, you don't have like the traditional marketing or advertising approaches working as well as when everybody's on TikTok or everybody's on Instagram or everybody's on the website and this, that, and the third. So I think they're starting to kind of, you know, take advantage of that aspect of marketing, if that makes sense.
So in terms of timing, so you said you said two things that were interesting. One was that St. Lucia was one of the first countries and brands to work with you. Was that around the time of Joshua's invite, or have you guys crossed paths at all in terms of being in the space and being influencers in the space?
So I haven't personally like met him, but when I did go to St. Lucia that year, I did see him. He's actually in a couple of my vlogs just in passing, because I was like, whoa, you know, this boy really could carry on back. And I just assumed he was Lucian, you know, I just assumed because he would carry the flag and he kind of had the accent in passing and whatnot. I did see him, you know, almost kind of in an ambassador role for a certain band the year that I went. This was before Zuvo and all these other bands and whatnot. So I felt like they must have had something kind of maybe go on. I'm not absolutely sure. I didn't really see him in like advertising or anything like that. But I do believe that he must have had some sort of role, because he, you know, was at FETs, this, that, and the third. Like you would basically see him everywhere there was like a popular event the year that I went. So yeah,
that's interesting. So and no doubt, I think that his idea in terms of being an influencer is there. I think he had a valid point that he is an influencer in the space. I think the challenge for many people was the direct comment around being paving the way, if you may. Only because it wasn't, I've seen his videos, I've seen videos of him, but I didn't really consider him an influencer in the Caribbean space, to my mind. But I'm not everyone that wants to go to St. Lucia Carnival or any carnival. So I totally understand that I'm not always going to be the demographic. That's just the nature of marketing. But for me, he didn't pop into my mind as an influencer because I had only seen him dancing in videos. And for me, you know, I think, you know, dancing at carnival is what we do. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. You know, it's not anything, it wasn't anything crazy. Of course, you know, I've seen, you know, people jump off a speaker box and jump on them, one and that. So like, it's normal for me, you know. So I wasn't super, you know, I wasn't overly enamored with his ability to blend in. I think it's great that he was able to navigate the space and enjoy. Like, fully enjoy the culture itself. And that's what I really thought of it. I didn't think of it anything in that realm until I saw this video that had the commentary. So what were your thoughts? That was my reaction. What were your thoughts when you first saw his
well, I went and I watched the full video instead of just like the clip, because you know how some people just take the hot takes.
I had to watch the whole thing too. I was wondering why he was on the panel.
Like, why would you say that? Yeah, because I was on Twitter and I saw the 2-minute clip, I think, and I was listening. I was like, wait a second, why would he say that? And I was like, hold on, I need to watch the rest of this just to make sure that it was there other context. Did he like misspeak or whatever? You know, because
the fact that there was no conversation around Carnival at all. And it just went there. I was like the guy that was like,
don't do it. Yes, exactly. I mean, and I'm like, context clues. Look across the table. What are you saying right now? Like,
and I feel like the other panelists, they baited him. Them being Tim, Andre, and them walk. I felt like he walked right
into that. Yes, he did. And it seemed like he was the least knowledgeable on the panel, just overall, not even just talking about his platform and what Carnival has done for him. And I was like, I wonder if they actually put him on the video just for, you know.
Yes.
But I was like, okay, but I was still kind of stuck on his statement, because I was like, is this for virality, or is this legit you saying this is what you think? And if it is legit you saying this is a problem, because you didn't pave the way for anybody. Carnival paved the way for you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you adopted the culture and you made like this platform and whining, dancing, this, that, and the third. And then obviously a lot of people follow him, like over 100,000 people follow him. So, you know, I feel like we kind of have to shift blame in several places for maybe the reason why he felt so confident in saying that. I remember there was a previous scandal before, like maybe months ago or a year ago before this whole thing, and I was trying to rack my brain around it. Something about a t-shirt designer in St. Lucia, about the design he had taken or something. I don't know. I was just kind of waiting for the facts before I made any judgment.
Things Nice mentioned.
Yeah.
Sha mentioned that in her interview.
Right,
so
and then
interesting.
Right, and I think Know Your Caribbean actually had like a video out, and she explained the whole thing about this St. Lucian designer that had designed some sort of t-shirt design, and he must have taken it. I'm not sure if it's the current one with the white chocolate bar and that's a whole nother story. But to come to find out that he wasn't fully Lucian, and to like see videos, like past videos of him actually saying that he's from Dennery and all these different places. And I was just like, I was just at a loss. I was like, somebody made this okay, or made you feel like this was okay for you to say and do. And I was like, some of the blame kind of lies with us, because I won't lie, there were points and times I kind of just stood and looked at him, because I was like, you know, white boy could whine and stuff like that. And I feel bad, because I'm like, that is that thing that you said. Black people do this all the time. We whine in on our head, this, that, and the third, and we don't get probably near as much recognition as this boy does for being white and being a so-called whiner boy, you know? So I was just kind of reevaluating myself and looking at other people, and then looking at the, you know, like, I was just trying to figure out how did it get to this point, because we enabled this to happen, you know. So I wasn't so much mad or angry at him. I was more so kind of upset at us as Caribbean people or Carnival goers who kind of like hyped him up. So that was my stance. I don't know what he could do to kind of come back from this. I mean, he still has a lot of people following him, and maybe they kind of want to wait to see what he does. I feel like there's no way in hell you could pave the way for any of these like amazing dances like Inhale Me, Royal G. There are male dancers out there too. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it was just a big mess. I just was like, wow, like you need a PR team at this point. Like you do, because I just don't, yeah.
So I think as Caribbean people, and you kind of hit the nail on the head when you were like, you know, it's an he was enabled by us as a people because, you know, we definitely big him up. And it's like I said, I don't think it's a discredit to him or discredit to us. It's just a misunderstanding of how culture gets shared. And I think we have to be a little bit more protective of how we label people. And, you know, I'm not saying don't invite people to the space. I think culture is meant to be shared, and it's meant to, but the people that should be profiting off of it are the people who are the ones that have been doing this for a long time. And it's different if it's like a partnership or whatever, but there are so many different layers. How many different programs? I mean, you mentioned it too. There are definitely, you know, Caribbean tourist board trips and, you know, things that happen, and Carnival, and we're not included in, and I'm not saying me specifically, I'm just saying, you know, for a long time, you know, the only dollars that were seen as valuable were that of white dollars for tourists. And I think the Black community as a whole has been missed in terms of the diversity of travel marketing, period. Up until, I think coupled with, you know, carnival chasers, as I like to say, carnival bloggers, are a lot of these Black travel groups. And I think those have also allowed people to travel in different spaces, in groups, and have allowed people to explore other cultures in a way, like hopping from one carnival to the next with people you don't necessarily know, but you have some sort of family kinship with. And it's not to say that everybody gets along on every single one of these trips, but I think it has, you know, in breaking down the Black travel as dollars, as a marketing campaign, as that happens, Carnival kind of happened at the same time, and we saw that kind of grow together. So what do you think is from a cultural standpoint, what do you see happening in terms of working with bands and brands in the region? Because essentially, especially, I feel like the diaspora is then the next level that is ignored. You know, we contribute a lot in terms of sharing of the culture, especially outside of the region. When things happen, we're the first to support and share. But when it comes to making money going back, I don't necessarily feel like that is always the case. So I don't know, do you feel that same way, or do you see that changing? Do you think that this particular example will be a catalyst for some change?
Honestly, just from my interactions and navigating this space, like with all these different things in terms of like, even with Black Lives Matter, and the fact that racism and colorism does like exist in the Caribbean and all these different things. But I feel like we as a people do know that, and some of us still tend to make the choices to support brands that use those, well, more so colorism, use colorism as a means to market to certain audiences. And we still fall in line to give them our money. We still kind of, you know, line up to find out who the committee member is to go to what fete and this, that, and the third. So I want to say I'm 50-50 on that. I feel like I actually had a conversation with a promoter after the whole white chocolate debacle, and he was appalled, and I think he had used him several times to kind of market as well, and he was kind of he was like, almost like waiting to see what happens next. Like, I feel like a lot of people are waiting to see what happens next. I know in St. Lucia, they were very adamant that I think Digicel might have had him as an ambassador. So like the St. Lucians were kind of, saying, oh, can you guys say for sure that he won't be an ambassador, this, that, and the third? Can you use somebody that is actually St. Lucian and actually pay a Lucian that actually tells the stories authentically, that kind of thing. And, I feel like 50-50, there is a shift, but I feel like it's gonna take, I feel like it takes Caribbean people as a whole, the whole diaspora, to kind of catch on to the rest of the world. I don't know why. I guess our laid back nature, that kind of way. But I feel there will be changes moving forward in terms of gatekeeping the culture and making sure like the stories that we tell are actually what they are. It isn't just based on hype and ignoring like the fact that Afro-Caribbeans, we've been a part of slavery. We have some of the same struggles as Black people in America, and I mean we technically do have the same struggles, because when you're in America and you're Black and you're Caribbean, you have to adapt twice almost. You have to adapt culturally, and you have to adapt because of your skin color sometimes. So I wanna say and hope and pray that we are shifting in the right direction, but I feel like sometimes when Carnival comes around and there's this buzz of excitement, people tend to forget, and they just want to be a part of the revelry and stuff like that, which is not a bad thing. People need to release, but I personally think like we do need to gatekeep the culture. Like me and you, we have platforms and we have a responsibility to say, well, hey guys, support this person because they are telling this story authentically. I think I posted on my Instagram like a couple weeks ago, like you have so many Caribbean content creators. Why aren't we supporting them? Because a lot of us have put our support behind these people that barely know the culture, and just because they seem like anomalies in this space, that that's better than what me or you or someone else could be putting out and actually be paid for to represent the culture. So I'm hoping, I want to be optimistic, but then I just think about like what's happened in the past. Sorry to run on.
No.
But I do feel like it is our responsibility. I feel personally responsible to start telling more of like the behind the scenes thing, behind the scenes stories of like culturally where I'm from, the Bahamas, how I got into Carnival, like telling the truth about these. It's not just like it's so complex, like traveling to these different countries, learning the people, talking to the people, learning the cultures, this, that, and the third, not just marketing it as a party thing and then you go home and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an experience. So I'm hoping and I want to have more conversations, especially with stakeholders, to say, well, hey, so and so is doing a great job at showing this part of this island and the historical background of where Jab came from, or Dimanche Bras, or this, that, and the third. Why don't you partner with them? Because there is an audience out there that wants to know these things. Like some people want it to be a little bit deeper than winding your waist and jumping in a fet and this, that, and the third. So hopefully that answers your question.
I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity, and it's really kind of up to us to kind of take the torch and continue to push the envelope on the types of content that is being created and who is creating that. So I think you're on the right track. The apprehension isn't, I have it too. I think people are so ready to get back to normal that, anything goes, you know what I mean? And also I think it might even take a hit. The influencer space might take a hit only because everyone is just ready to go somewhere, do something that you don't necessarily need a marketing team to help you stand out, because it's like you must get everybody come in, you know what I mean? Like that's what people are really ready to experience. So I think it'll kind of take some time to really get back to the space we were pre-COVID, and it's definitely a beautiful space. I hope that we continue to share our culture and with the value, like I want brands to pay for, you know, the work, all the work that goes into all of the campaigns. And I'm pretty sure it's a fraction of what US influencer marketing teams are paid, you know, to produce content. And it really does work. You know, I for one, I'm definitely one of the people who were influenced by other people having those experiences and getting questions from here, this Facebook group, this advertisement, this event, this, that, this party, that, you know, and every single person, it's like this, you have to talk to people to get the proper experience. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna go, it's not like going to like to Mardi Gras.
Exactly.
You know, it's not like you just go and just show up and then you can, oh, you know, just, or, you know, you just go into a resort. It's definitely an entire planning process. It takes some, you know, elbow room, elbow grease, and connections, really. And, you know, a lot of those experiences, I think people, even if you go through like a concierge service, or you have a good friend or whatever, or you do none of the mainstream things that are considered carnival, you still have to roll with a certain crew in order to have a certain kind of time, or else you're gonna leave and you're not gonna want to go back to that island. I remember, you know, I went to Trinidad Carnival and I'm like, I need to get back to Trinidad outside of Carnival to see the island, and even go to Tobago and understand and do. I didn't get to. I never reach Maracas. You know, I'm big. You know what I mean? I want to. You know, those are things I you know, I want to do in Trinidad specifically. So I think, you know, we'll continue to make sure that happens. I am curious to see how this kind of turns out in the space. For everyone, really, because I think it was something important to talk about, and I don't want to, you know, continuously dwell on this one person, but I feel like there has been a lot of influencing without payment.
Absolutely.
And that's what I would like to see change.
Same, yeah, because honestly, if you look at some of the creative works that some of these influencers put out, it's
better than the tourist board, and better than the tourist board, Deb. Oh my! When Lori Harvey went to Jamaica and she did her little video, I'm like, Jamaica tourist board, why you not buy that?
Exactly. The thing is, like, imagine you spending so much money on marketing and advertising and stuff like that, and you have this one person or few people that can turn over these bodies of work in less than a week.
She went Thursday to Sunday or Monday and had the video on Wednesday. It's like,
exactly. And I don't understand why people don't see the value in that. Like, there's so much value in it, because not only are you speaking from a personal experience, you have the capability of taking these beautiful photos and beautiful imagery and just literally giving us a 360 experience, you know, like view of an experience. And honestly, you're saving money too. Like, I don't feel like you need to pay millions and millions of dollars to one influencer, but you need to pay them, obviously, but
it's a fraction of what a U.S. agency would pay to go through a U.S. marketing agency to do tourism for you. It is a fraction of the cost.
Exactly.
So I know I'm on the other side. I know how much they get paid. It's a lot of money. So yeah, I think that I think that there's more than enough money to go around, and I think you know, marketers have to get they need to get more for their money. You know, they're not getting. I think that they're not getting the value that they think they are. By just taking this one TV commercial and showcasing it a million places.
Exactly.
Or, you know, there are some that are doing a really, really good job. But, you know, if you have some, you know, budget and dollars, like, do something fun and creative.
Absolutely.
And tap into the culture and the diaspora so much more than they have been. It's like a lost opportunity, because what happens when people are ignored is they disappear from, and I think that is kind of what's at stake. If I'm first generation, so if my daughter and her friends, they have no interest in these cultural activities, then you have no one to really engage with, you know what I mean? So, and I think that is true for a lot of people who come to the US and they have their kids. They want their kids to be heavily into their own culture, and that's the only way that it continues to grow, you know what I mean? So
I agree. Since you said you're on the other side, I was just going to say, why don't you start an agency? But I know I'm going to put that pressure on you.
From your lips to God's ears.
Say it again?
I said, from your lips to God's ears. But I think that happens, and it's a thought, it's something that I think it, could happen. But at the same time, so much of the business that is done in the Caribbean is based on who you know, how much they like you. So if they don't know you and they don't like you, or they don't know you to like you or not like you, they're not even having a conversation with you.
That's true.
So I think it will take a little bit more than just, starting up and saying this and saying that. The accolades have to come in. I have to have 5 MBAs, become a doctor, have my husband who's a lawyer in Sweden, the resume I feel long to even sit on a table with some people. So I mean, I'm joking.
No, but I feel you.
But that's just how business in the Caribbean is done, and that's not going to change because of it's just the pace and the nature of what is happening. But I definitely understand, that business side. And it's also about access, because a lot of agencies have certain levels of access to media that you would have to have access to. So there's so many different layers and levels to an agency, or just marketing in general, that people don't know. A lot of agencies, they hire smaller agencies to do something else. So a lot of people are thinking, oh, these press trips, I'm going to go straight to the tourist board. And the tourist board is like, I don't do any of this. This agency does this. And this agency is like, I don't even do any of this. This agency handles this for us, because you know what I mean? So you're like 3 or 4 levels removed from the actual brand itself. And so I think a lot of influencers, I don't think they don't understand that part of the business as well. So essentially, the media agency is getting this amount, and then this media agency is taking that budget to pay this one, and then this one is taking that budget to execute all over. It's multiple teams, and it's PR, it's media, it's digital, it's social. It's just so fragmented. And if you don't know, then you just don't know. And that's on both ends. So that's not just, on the tourist board. So a lot of people, I think a lot of the work, especially that you have done, and the work that you're doing with going direct with smaller brands, that is a really good angle, because you'll continue to build and grow as they continue to build and grow. So even though you may not be able to work with the tourist board, but you can work with the local jet ski rental, organization that has been ignored that's not listed on the tourist board. But I, for one, want that off the beaten path experience. You know what I mean? I don't want to just sit in my resort and just
live on the
resort. I want to get out and do things and explore the country. And I think a lot of that is happening now. But again, a lot of those influencers, they're not people of color, and they're going into these unique spaces and saying, can I record you? Whereas if we showed up and be like, can we record you? And they're like, no, you have to pay me for that, man. No, you can't do that, man. No, something there. And then, somebody else, that has to have a shift as well. So I think it's a lot that happens there. So
yeah, absolutely.
We went off on a way different tangent.
No, but I'm sorry. First thing I thought of, I was like, because I encounter a lot of because I do work with brands in the US too as well, like smaller brands and whatnot. And I have the opportunity to work with like Savage Fenty, which was like blew my mind. Like I was just like, oh, really? You see me?
Really?
So
You see me?
you know, so and
you over here subtle. Like I'm just a Savage Fenty, influencer.
Sometimes it just don't feel real.
It's real. I've seen the pictures. I forgot about that. I don't know how we didn't even talk about that. Yes.
But like, once I started getting, and I was getting them like during COVID, and I was like, what is happening right now? I was still working and talking about other stuff outside of Carnival, but like I have my other influencer friends like ask me questions, and then some other people were like, well, how did you work with them? How did they contact you? This, that, and the third. And how do I get to work with brands over in the US and not just limit yourself to Caribbean brands? And nothing's wrong with limiting yourself. Like it's whatever your choice is. But like, I was just kind of astonished at, like a lot of us don't really know how to navigate this space. I'm still learning. Like you probably could teach me a lot about like pricing and asking for what I'm worth and this, that, and the third. So I'm still technically learning as well, but I hadn't realized like there's opportunity here, even though I am Bahamian and I am quote unquote carnival blogger, so that was one thing. I was just like, there's a gap
money,
here.
y'all. Take that money. No, I'm just kidding.
Say it again?
No, I said there's a lot happening, especially for influencers here. You're not limited to one country at all, or one region at all. Like there could be a brand in Brazil that's trying to enter the US market, and they're looking for someone who is in the fitness space that they could tap into, that like, and also like budgets are relative, shoot your shot and ask for what you want to get paid, and then work your way down. That's the negotiation process. I think people are afraid to negotiate, and self included. Like you don't always like to talk about money, but it's part of the negotiation. The brand is always going to try to get something for close to nothing. Yeah, and you're always should be asking for the most that you can, and you guys will meet somewhere in the middle, and that's just the negotiation process that you have to go through. Big, large corporations go through this. Everyone has, you have to, I think the number one thing is, if you want more, ask for more. If they say yes, it was in the budget. I've said yes quick, or I've said yes, I'm like, I don't know, can they throw in this X, Y, and Z, and then we can work. I mean, I work in a very different, not a different space, but with male grooming products, it's such a different, and because you also have to think about the volume of people. There's not a lot of men doing influencer anything.
Right.
The pool is super small, or they're really young. The products have to align to a certain level of brand aesthetics. Do you align? I mean, really and truly, you put in the work and the quality of content consistently, and I think that goes so much farther than anything that you can do. A lot of people are quick to work with brands, but they're really not ready yet. That, like, if you look back on it now, could you have and you won't know it until you're into it, where you say, if Savage Fenty had come to you 5 years ago, you would have said yes, but would you have been ready to do?
I don't think I would have been ready
today for them 5 years ago. And I think it's a slow build, in a world where everyone wants to, grow numbers and engage and work with brands. Pick a few brands that you really, really, really want to work with, and pretend like you're working with them
already. Exactly.
Create that content so that they can look at you and say, "Yep, that's." And you might say that person might say no, or that brand might say no, but their competitor might say yes. And a lot of the competition, look at who that brand is and what their competitors are. look at the smaller ones that are just coming in to kind of say, hey, well, I pitched this brand and I pitched them for XYZ. Would you be willing to work with me? Nobody know. You don't know. You can slide into their DMs. Some people still work that way. DMs, email, LinkedIn, agencies. It all can work, and it goes both ways. I've had people, slide into the brand's DMs or tag us in something, and I tell the agency, I want to look at them. I want to look. Let's see what they got, and then they'll come back and they'll evaluate and they'll say yes or no, and I'll say yes, I like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, or whatever. But it's important to have, and this is where the diversity and inclusion piece comes in, is because if you have someone who is of a different background, they can talk to the tonality of what they're doing and have the vibrancy. So, there's work to be done on both sides, I think, and we still have a whole lot of work to do. And there's a lot of money out on the table. It's just, there's also a lot of people in the space. But we went off the tangent of your Fenty story. I feel like you were saying something about Fenty. I'm always down to talk about Rihanna. Anything.
Oh, I think I brought it up because I was, during this whole COVID phase and everything, like, especially when it first started, is when I actually got my first Fenty ad, and it was through an influencer platform, and they didn't pay a lot. I had done like lingerie stuff before. Then I was like, you know what, Savage Fenty, let me weigh the pros and cons of this, because do I take the ad and just do it for potential exposure, or let me just get my feet wet. It's Savage Fenty, I would do this for free, like. And I feel like a lot of people too, like, I know there's like a huge emphasis on, girl, get your coins, make sure you get, give them your rates, paid, this, that, and the third. And thankfully I've gotten to that point with the brand. But in the beginning part, like, it wasn't a direct link. It was literally through an influencer, one of those influencer platforms where you see the gig.
Sign up.
Yep. Yeah. And when I did it, I and they reposted, I was just like, and that did so much. Like, it was worth, for me, it was worth it, because I was just like, if I had waited around and said, no, I don't want to do it unless you guys pay me XYZ. For me, that exposure was worth it in itself, and just being affiliated with the brand. But for someone else or another brand, I would definitely have been like, hey, no, you need to pay me XYZ for me to dress up in lingerie.
But also, if you think about it, right? So you can take the Savage Fenty and now go back to a Carnival brand and be like, I need a frontline costume and payment and put me up because me depend Fenty.
Right.
So it allows you to leverage with the right brands as well. So you have to, there's no one way to do influencer marketing at all.
Yeah.
You have to do it all and grow within each stage of all of it. Not that I'm saying that, but the leverage is there, and that's not what people are talking about. You can do things for free that you can leverage later, or you can do things for payment and you can pay your bills. Like, they go hand in hand. And like, I know that that's how the Caribbean works. They love pageantry. They love, the crossover media. They love, this is what they're willing to pay for. This is why white chocolate got paid versus other ones who didn't. It's because there is an aesthetic that they're able to portray within their story. So now you can take that and leverage it. And I would use it if I were you.
Right. It's funny. Once I got reposted, like, I was able to leverage that even in other types of niches, like fitness, doing fitness videos or freelance work for other people, or even just taking stock images that I didn't even have to post on my own platform, that the brand just wanted to have, and they just pay me for that content. So it was, and people would just be like, hey, Chris, I just saw you on Savage X Fenty's page. We really want to work with you, this, that, and the third. So it just opened so many doors, even outside of lingerie and stuff like that. So like you said, like, I was able to leverage that experience, like, almost right after it happened. it was so surreal because I was like, this is COVID. Like, I shouldn't be, you know, I almost felt like an imposter because I was like, this shouldn't be happening right now, you know? But no, I absolutely, like, there are brands that right now, if they approach me, that I absolutely love. Like, I would have like, if it was just free product and we were just arguing, like, negotiating down to the very end, and all they could offer me was free product, like, I would still take it because I absolutely love the brand. And I know that I could use that exposure for something else. You know what I'm saying? To me, it doesn't necessarily have to be paid all the time. And I say that saying that, I also have a job. So I work full time as well. So I don't just do this like some other creatives where this is their bread and butter. Like, I have a full-time job. So to me, creating is like my outlet. Like, I need to have content out just to feel fulfilled. That's the biggest thing for me. What I love to be a full-time influencer one day, maybe, you know, and I don't know, have these full-on productions at Carnival and stuff like that, maybe. But at this point in my career, I feel like I'm just kind of just feeling my way through it and just, you know, figuring out, okay, what can I do? Like, how can I expand my brand and just have fun with it, you know? Yeah, but I do believe in getting paid. I do believe in getting paid because.
All right. So thank you so much. I'll share all of your social handles as well as any kind of info links to your website as well. But thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me.